All right, everybody, this is day 6 of the 1 hour series. I'm Nye, aka nyeceaux, and we're gonna hop into it. But before we do that, I have to let you guys know I actually already recorded this video today, but the recording was messed up. I don't know what bug is in this machine, bro, but we still did it. So instead of us making the song together, I'm gonna actually show you guys what I made. So here's our beat. It is a jungle inspired beat. I'll kind of walk you guys through the entire process of what we did and why we did it. First, we started with this MIDI, right? We used phase plant, and we have this nice chord here. I'll show you what it sounds like. Nice, nice, very nice. Okay, so then we recorded it here. Nice, right? So we did that. I liked how that was kind of flowing. It felt really good. And so then we grabbed the drums, which sound like this. Yeah. But it actually used to sound like this. You can see that I like moved or warped the drums to hit on a certain beat. The reason that we did that, and I didn't know that this was possible in Ableton until I saw the other day another producer do it, but you can actually click your samples, and in here you can actually, you know, move the timing. And if you guys can see here how it affects it on the timeline. And now usually when something's, you know, say for this little guy right here, we want to move him and make him more on that beat, right? And same for this. Maybe I want to move this one and move it up to where it hits, you know, whatever. I can do that. I have full control over that. So that's what I did. And I'll show you guys what it sounded like with it, you know, before that. Which it sounds fine. It sounds great. But with this one, you're able to catch the rhythm more because Yes. So we essentially just made sure that these two were lined up. And now that I know that, whenever I'm actually messing with samples and their timings, if I want something to hit on a certain part, I don't have to guess how to do that. I don't have to just like chop it up and then move it over on the timeline. I can actually just, you know, manipulate it here, which is really, really awesome and really useful. So shout out to that YouTuber. The next thing we did, and we actually did this bass line. You guys know, like usually we've been doing the kind of melody mid section, and then we move on to the bass line. We did move on to the bass line, but it didn't match our drum loop. And once I put the drum loop in and I loved it so much, I decided to add the 808s to match the kicks. Now, I'll play it here. Now, you'll see here on the timeline, it's actually a little bit off, right? I learned from somewhere, I forgot who it was, but it's actually really good for you to put your 808s a little bit behind, or I think it's behind your kick, because if you put it on the same timing of the kick, so let's do that. Let's put it right with the kick, and I'll show you what it sounds like. You see how it kind of muddles it, but when we don't, if we don't do that, it gives them both their own space. And it might be very subtle to hear, but whenever you're having a lot of sounds in it, you want to separate the frequencies, right? Because this kick sound, right? This kick is a doop. And if you think about like the frequencies on a spectrum, right? You have your lower frequencies like the kicks, the 808s, the bass lines. Then you have your mid sections. You have the pianos, maybe the vocals, and then the highs. And then you might have your strings. You might have your maybe higher octave vocals or samples. And the more things that you have in those areas, you have to make sure that they're not clashing, right? Because if you're adding a bunch of low end, super bassy stuff, a bunch of 808s, a bunch of kicks, low vocals, it all will start to sound muddled together because those frequencies are all fighting for attention. So you want to make sure that you make space in the track to have each one of those kind of coexist with one another. So we decided to I like to add some little vocal things in here. So I found this one off of, I believe it was Lander, and I'll show you guys what it sounds like. Okay. And now with the track, it's very in the background, right? We like to do that. We have here we have our cymatics origin plugin, which essentially makes it feel a little bit more vintage. Without all the effects, it sounds like this. With the effects, it sounds like this. And all we did was added some kind of like vintage origin to it. We added a little bit of chorus, right? And then a flanger. So we did those three, and that's how that turned out here. Once we did that, the only thing that I felt like was missing is I felt like the timing of these chords were just a little bit off. So I highlighted this, and then I essentially right-clicked it, and I said bounce to a new track. This became inactive, and then we were born with this one. So then it pretty much bounces your MIDI files into an audio track. So then we just bounced it out, and then we did that same trick where we just moved and tightened things up just a little bit, right? So now, altogether, this is what the track sounds like. Yeah, that's what we came up with today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is my first time kind of venturing into that jungle genre. It's kind of like old nostalgia, video game-esque music, which has kind of been like scratching that itch for me lately. I've been really enjoying it. I definitely want to get back into doing more like hip hop and R&B music. But for now, just learning how to produce, I feel like these tracks have really helped me understand a lot of the like fundamentals, and you guys could probably see that in this video. There's a lot of knowledge that I've kind of been accumulating throughout time, and my entire YouTube algorithm is quite literally just producers. So it's really helped me learn and kind of fall into the producer mindset. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know that this video was a little bit different. My apologies. Let me turn that timer off. But my apologies. My system's being a little bit weird. And also, sorry, you guys might not have noticed this at all, but I can't move my mouth like this because my lip was dry and I cracked it. Isn't that the worst thing ever? I feel like I gotta talk like this. I can't really even express myself. I guess it sucks. I really don't like it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, it's getting cold over here and my lip cracked and it really hurts. So anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys, nope, I'm not going to say hope you guys have a great day. What I'm going to say instead of that is I hope that something around you inspires you today. And if it does, take note of it. Cool? Cool. I'll see you guys tomorrow on day 7. Peace.